So there are a couple of passages in Scripture that I always tread a little lightly on Sunday mornings, and I'm about to share one of them with you. It is the story of Mary and Martha. And I gotta tell you, this is such a widely understood narrative that there is going to inevitably be somebody in this congregation, probably many somebodies in this congregation, who read this and say, Jesus, you got this one all wrong. You've got two sisters, one of them's not doing anything, the other is taking care of all of the household needs, and Jesus, you got to be praising the sister who's busy working. And instead, for some reason, Jesus praises the sister who is sitting around all day, not doing anything. So I always tread lightly on this because inevitably somebody or many somebodies in the congregation are going to say, you know what, I really understand what Martha's going through here. I have a lot of sympathy for her, and I don't understand why Jesus doesn't praise her work. So a lot of times when I share this, I really try to go into cultural details about the relationship between Mary and Martha and Jesus. But I want to forego any of that today, and I simply want to share the words from Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42 with you. And I want you to hear in them an invitation to rest and to rely on Jesus. Hear these words from the Gospel of Luke. Helps if my page stays open here. All right. Hear these words from Luke chapter 10, starting with verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and distracted about many things, but few things are needed. Indeed, only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. These are the words of the Lord for the people of God. Our thanks be to God. So I want to share with you a tradition that I had up until 2020. It was a Maundy Thursday worship tradition that I loved to take part in that I have never gotten to do here because this COVID thing seems to be lasting forever. But what I would love to do is I would love to get a congregation together around a dinner table. The table would be set up in a round, so everybody would be facing one another. An altar placed in the middle with the communion elements on it. And then we would share a simple Maundy Thursday meal together and call that worship. We would sing through that meal. We would pray through that meal. We would hear the gospel lesson through that meal. The entire worship service would take place around this dinner table as we were eating. You might imagine why we can't do something like that in the age of COVID, but hopefully COVID will not be lasting forever. Now, the first time I did this, I invited people to just bring their own meal with them. We do a potluck style. We would all join in the meal together, and then after we were all done eating, we would break the bread and pass the cup, each of us serving one another around the table. What I did not anticipate was how necessary some people felt it was to start cleaning up the meal as soon as the dinner was over. Before we even got to communion, you had people up doing the dishes, filling the sink with soaps and water, and getting everything cleaned up. Now, in my mind, we were still in the middle of worship. I was still praying with people. And you have people at the table getting up and having to be busy cleaning up. Because there are people like that in every congregation, I think. People who are just geared towards taking care of things, seeing a mess and knowing that it needs to be clean. And that's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have people that care for the well-being of your worship space. But at the same time, the pastoral part of me wants to invite people to sit back down. We're still worshiping together. We're still growing as a community together. The meal may be over, but the worship is still going on. I realized, I think the first or second time I did that I had to actually give people permission not to work. I had to give people permission to sit and rest in the worship moment. Because there was something about our culture, our society, the way some of us are designed, there is something that makes rest or worship, for that matter, something that some people find hard to do. That some people have to be at work, have to be active, have to be busy. And that becomes so normal that some of us no longer know how to take a good soul rest. In the story of Mary and Martha and Jesus teaches us to tend to the right things at the right time. Mary and Martha is a story all about priorities. Or maybe we could say misplaced priorities. Jesus has been invited into this home, and Mary acts just like one of Jesus' disciples would. She sits at Jesus' feet, ready to soak up whatever wisdom, whatever care, whatever love he has to offer. That's what the men of the household would do. That's what the disciples would do, while it was expected that the women would be taking care of making sure all the hospitality was provided. Mary chooses the role of a disciple. Martha, on the other hand, has the following priorities in mind. And I can't say that it goes exactly like this, but I want to tell you what I think her priorities are. I think her priorities are wondering if Jesus likes fish, or if she should be making lamb for dinner. I think she is distracted by the concerns about how many courses this meal should be. Would Jesus expect a 3-course meal or a 5-course meal? Maybe she's wondering, is it possible Jesus is a vegetarian and nobody told her? That's a distracting thought that I think goes through her mind that evening. Whether or not she needs to make a bigger salad because that's all Jesus is going to eat. I think she is distracted by what kind of wine she should put out with dinner. Should she put out the expensive stuff, or is Jesus okay with the normal everyday wine that they drink normally? Or maybe she shouldn't put wine out at all. Maybe Jesus is planning on doing one of those miracles where he turns water into wine. Maybe she should just put out a bunch of pitchers of water and expect Jesus to make wine if he wants it. I think she's distracted by that. I think she is distracted by whether the linens are clean, if the kitchen is clean, if the plates are clean. I think she is distracted wondering when she should set the table. Does the fork go on the left or the right? I think these are the things that are distracting her. Mary's priority is on Jesus. She is at his feet, listening and soaking up his love and grace. Martha's priority, get this, Martha's priority is actually on herself. So often we think our busyness is outward focused, focusing on other people before ourselves. But Martha shows us that sometimes the busyness that we get ourselves into is all about our need to feel needed, to feel like we are worthwhile being there, to feel like we have a point of being there. Martha's busyness is not about serving others. Her busyness is about her own desires. Here are the words she uses. She says, "My sister has left me to do all the work by myself." And this is why I say that Martha's busyness is all about her. Listen to all those times she talks about how much is on her shoulders. My sister, myself, left me to do all the work myself. That's a lot of me language. for somebody who is supposed to be serving others. You see, Martha has turned this whole afternoon, this whole evening, from an opportunity to be close to the Lord into an opportunity to show Jesus just how hectic and busy she can be. And that's why I always think that Martha is something of a tragic character in the Gospels. You see, I've never heard of somebody, maybe you have, but I have never heard of somebody who, after getting together for an evening with their friends or with some long-missed family, say just how grateful they were to have the opportunity to get together with somebody because it gave them a great chance to wash their dishes. No one ever comes to me and says, "Oh, it was so nice. I had a great day yesterday with my friends that I haven't seen in so long because it gave me the perfect opportunity to try out this new dish soap that I've been dying to use." I've never heard anybody say that. And especially after the last few years, so many people coming to me telling me about how they saw family that they haven't seen in so many years because of COVID, because they couldn't travel anywhere. People meeting members of their family for the first time, and nobody says how excited they were to be so busy and distracted they couldn't spend time with the people they love. No, the memories we hold on to are the relationship memories. They're the memories of sitting around with somebody else, spending a day with somebody else, not the busy memories, not the hectic memories. We don't hold on to those. We don't cherish those. We cherish our relationship memories, our connection memories. Mary has something amazing in her life at this moment. She has the Messiah, Jesus Christ, in her living room, and she can't stop long enough to appreciate that he's even there. Instead, she carries her busyness out to Jesus, trying to get him involved in her hectic life. A lot of times I think that we are just like Martha. We wear our busyness as a badge of honor. We add more things to our lives, more things to do at work, more tasks around the home, more commitments at church, more activities with the kids, more, until we are doing more and we have forgotten to care for our souls. This Soul Reset series is based on the writings of Reverend Junius Dotson. And Reverend Dotson writes that when we get caught up in the vicious cycle of busyness, we are often distracted from the most important things. This is worth taking note of because distractions caused by stress often cause us to miss divine opportunities to connect and go deeper with Jesus. They distort our perspective, and they will at times make us say things we wish we had not said. I gotta tell you, when I get busy, when I get hectic, the line between my thoughts and my mouth changes a little bit. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't always sound the way I think I should sound when I am busy and distracted and overwhelmed. And I think the same was true for Martha. I don't think in any other circumstances Martha would have gone to Jesus and said, "You know, Jesus, I'm so busy. Could you please tell my sister to help me out? I know she's here loving on you at the moment, worshiping you, being with you, but can you really send her away from this soul-feeding moment and let her help me in the kitchen?" I don't think Martha would have said that if she had not gotten herself so distracted and busy and forgotten what a blessing it was to just be in the presence of Jesus. Consider for a moment what Martha missed because she was not out there sitting with Jesus. Consider what Martha missed because she was so wrapped up in what she thought she must do that she ignored the relationship that was available just one room over. Jesus invites us, through this story of Mary and Martha, to get a new focus in our lives. You see, busyness is not the way of Jesus. And that might seem strange to hear because Jesus seems to be really busy in the Gospels. He does a lot in a very short amount of time. But if you actually read what Jesus is up to in the Gospels, Jesus rarely seems to be actually busy. Jesus works. Hard, holy work, I call it. Jesus works, but he pairs that work so often with moments of peaceful rest. Read the scriptures and notice how often Jesus just gets off by himself for a little while. And when Jesus does that hard, holy work, notice that he never lets it get in the way of being present with someone else. A lot of times our busyness does just that. We get so busy that we're not present with those who really matter to us. Jesus never lets his busy work get in the way of being present with someone. Someone calls to Jesus in a crowd, Jesus responds. Jesus meets somebody in need on his way somewhere else. Jesus never stops and says, sorry, I don't have time today. Maybe if you schedule me in a few weeks later, I can get to you and help you out. No, Jesus takes the time at the time to focus on what's important. Jesus never gets so busy that he cannot be fully present with those who are around him. In fact, just the opposite actually seems to happen. Jesus is so present in the world, so free from the distraction of busyness, that he sees those who no one else sees, cares for those no one else is caring for, is present with those no one else has had the time to be present with. Jesus invites us into that kind of life. Jesus invites us to be what I call an unbusy kind of people. This brings us back to an idea I shared with you last week. Last week, King David discovered that the cure for what ailed him was to be in worship. Well, I want to tell you today that the cure for our busy, hectic lives is to be in worship. And remember, when I talk about worship, I'm not talking about coming to church for an hour or so on Sunday mornings. Still, I'm wondrous that you do that. But I am talking about true, deep worship. That's what Mary was doing. She wasn't sitting in a church pew listening to her clergy rattle on for 20 minutes. She was in true, deep worship at the feet of Jesus, getting close, cultivating a relationship with her Lord. Cultivate unbusyness in your life by letting yourself take moments each day to simply be in worship. Maybe it's at the start of your day. Maybe that's how you want to do it. Maybe you want to say, at the start of my day, as the sun is rising, I'm going to take just a few moments to be in a spirit of worship, a spirit where I draw close to the Lord. Maybe you want to do it right as your workday is ending. Maybe you want to pair the busyness of your working life with the rest of your soul. Before you go on to other commitments, take the moments to rest, to refresh your soul, to be close to your Lord. Or you can do it right after dinner. This is a great time to be in rest. Right after dinner. Let the dirty dishes sit there for just a few moments. Rest in the mess for just a few moments. And refresh your soul. Worship your God. And as you practice worshiping, because that's sometimes what we have to do. We're not perfect worshipers. If we were, we would be dwelling in the presence of Jesus Christ 24/7. But as you practice worship, begin to imagine what your life might look like if that became your main focus. if you got rid of all the distractions and said, I want to make worshiping Jesus Christ the number one priority in my life, what a gift that could be to yourself. But more importantly, I think maybe that would be a wondrous gift to someone else. The gift to say it's okay to breathe. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to be unbusy. And it's okay to simply worship. I hope that that is a gift to you this morning. And I hope you offer that gift to someone else this week. Let's be in prayer together. Holy God, creator of heaven and earth, one of the first things we read in Scripture, O God, right at the beginning in the book of Genesis, we read that you created for 6 days and rested on a seventh. What a wondrous reminder that rest is not divorced from work, but rest comes in the midst. That rest is just as important as anything else that we're doing. Lord, help us cultivate a spirit of worshipful rest in our lives and in the lives of those who care for us, so we can start focusing on those relationships that truly matter to us, the relationships with those you have put right before us. I pray this in Jesus' holy and blessed name. Amen.